Greeny, today is a gigantic day for Daniel Jones in terms of his health and whether or not this coaching staff feels that he is strong enough and ready to go. There was video on Wednesday of him stretching, working out with the team, that small window that the media is allowed to be at, and he just looked okay. And of course, this was Wednesday. Thursday practice was canceled, which is why today is so important to see how he's recovered from that Wednesday practice, but also where he's at. Because remember, he's dealing with two injuries. We got a hamstring, which always sort of lingers, that never 100% heals. And he's also dealing with a sprained ankle that he suffered during the game. So today we should know more about Daniel Jones. And of course, if he can't go, it's Colt McCoy.
So let me quickly ask RC and Bart about this one here. RC, let's talk about it. What is your sense, having seen what we saw last week and what was a disappointing loss for the Giants? Who do you think should start?
Listen, a hobbled Daniel Jones is a horse that should stay in the pasture, a horse that you shouldn't let get out and run. Listen, when he can go, he's a thoroughbred. He's one of the more athletic quarterbacks in this league. But if he can't, let's go with Colt McCoy. And I know people are going to say, okay, it's Colt McCoy. He's much more miniature pony than he is Colt. But when you don't have a Daniel Jones that can move, if you don't have a Daniel Jones that can create in the pocket, now you open him up to his turnover issues. Now guys can get to him, put hats on him, and allow him and give themselves a chance to get the ball out on Daniel Jones. He makes you a worse team when he can't move, when he can't maneuver, when he can't add to the run game. And so I say go with Colt McCoy, allow Wayne Goldman in that run game to lead you, and play defense on the other side of the football. Because Daniel Jones, when he's a dual threat quarterback, is a solid football player, a football player that can win you games. A one-leg Daniel Jones can't do anything but lose football games for you, and we saw him do that last week against the Cardinals.
So, Bart, let me ask you, you cover this team closely every day on your radio show on ESPN Radio New York, going national in a couple of weeks. Do you, after that disappointing loss last week, do you still believe the Giants can win this division?
It's going to be tough because they have to go through two teams in which it's going to be tough sledding against. You think about the Cleveland Browns, they have playoff aspirations. Also, you think about they have the Baltimore Ravens after that. The only homecoming game they have left is the Dallas Cowboys. To RC's point, if you can't really go in. I thought they went all in with Daniel Jones because they thought the game that they could win was the Cardinals and the Cowboys. And the 1st to 7 in this division is probably going to lock this division up. This is time to have the talk. And I know it's an uncomfortable situation in which we have with players, but it's time to say, listen, we're all in. We only need you to get us 1 or maybe 2. We might have to shoot that thing up. You're going to be sore. It's going to hurt you later on. We don't know if you're going to tear something. But if we can get to the postseason, win a divisional title, it may be time to have that Toradol talk and maybe that pain shot talk. And that's just the reality of the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, that's been a part of football for a very long time. We'll wait and see. Obviously, Diana will keep us posted. Meanwhile, let's talk about another game this weekend. It is a well-known fact that Bill Belichick feasts on rookie quarterbacks, and he gets another shot at one Sunday against Tua and the Dolphins. Here's what he has done. In 2018, Belichick's defense held Josh Allen to 217 yards, picked him off twice in a win over the Bills. The very next week, New England hammered the Jets and their rookie at the time, Sam Darnold, 38-3. They sacked him 4 times, forced a fumble in the process. Last year, they played Daniel Jones and the Giants. They won that game by 3 touchdowns, held Jones to less than 50% completion, worst of his career. And then just 2 weeks ago, you might remember, they destroyed the Chargers, 45-0. Justin Herbert, it's the only bad game he's had. They sacked him 3 times, and they picked him off twice. So there's just something about Belichick against rookie quarterbacks. He has reeled off 12 straight wins against rookie QBs going back to 20.
His game management, his clock management. And look, here's what we go back to the beginning of the football season into the spring, prior to the draft, doing free agency. There was so much buildup about what the Chargers would do moving on from Phillip Rivers. They had Tyrod Taylor sitting there in the wings waiting for Phillip Rivers to depart. They decided not to retain Phillip Rivers. He leaves. Now they're on the clock. What do? Should they sign Cam Newton? Oh, well, Cam Newton they should sign, and maybe he's a bridge to a quarterback they draft. Should they go get to it? What all these different things, and quiet was kept. The guy right down the road was Justin Herbert at the University of Oregon. I was fortunate enough to go to the Rose Bowl to see him. I wanted to go see him. I saw him against Arizona State, and against Marvin Lewis and Antonio Pierce and Herm Edwards and an NFL defense. And that was the first time that he had to deal with that, and they got after him. He had a poor football game. But then I wanted to see him again up close. I saw him at the USC game, even though I was somewhat non-stable after drinking too much tequila, at the game tailgating. And so that was kind of foggy. But when I went to the Rose Bowl to see him, I sat there zooming, and I'm like, he didn't have a lot of throws. He ran the ball well, but you could see it come off. Whenever he would spin it, you could see it come off his wrist. And then as time went on, you heard the name Joe Burrow, Joe Burrow, Joe Burrow, Joe Burrow, Joe Burrow. And I'm sitting there and I'm saying, no, I understand what Joe Burrow has done at LSU and breaking records and winning the Heisman. But to me, this is the guy. He's 6'6". He's athletic. He's big. He's a big, tall, long guy. I mean, really athletic. And so I'm watching him run the ball against Wisconsin, and I'm saying, this is the guy. I don't see how others don't see it. And then as he falls in the draft, the Chargers sit quiet and they say nothing. And then all of a sudden, they grab him. He's supposed to sit tight while he learns from Tyrod Taylor. Unfortunate accident happens to Tyrod Taylor with the punctured lung. He's inserted into the lineup against the Kansas City Chiefs. He takes them down to the wire, and Justin Herbert's legacy has lived on from there.
I mean, there's something to be said, kid, about always staying ready, right? 27 passing TDs that ties Baker Mayfield, that he had that record in 2018. And I don't know, situation has so much to do. We talk about that, key, where you get drafted to, what opportunities are given to you. Obviously, Tyrod Taylor happened, but the kid gets an opportunity. And look, the 3 C's, right? He's always cool, calm, and collective, you feel like. Now, that can usually be a knock on kids from California, right? That they're too cool. But it just seems like got drafted to the right situation, to the Chargers, not like the Rams, not with all these crazy expectations, and gets a chance to settle in.
One thing, fellas, I want to mention on the Raiders tip here, Key, and this is really interesting. We sung their praises after they knocked off the Chiefs in Arrowhead. We really sung their praises after they narrowly lost to the Chiefs at home. Now their chances to make the playoffs have diminished to 5%. And Key, think about what has happened to the Raiders here in the last 4 or 5 days. They fired their defensive coordinator, Paul Gunther. Then they have 4 defensive starters missing in last night's game. And oh, by the way, their offensive coordinator wasn't there last night because he's dealing with COVID. That's Greg Olson. So you shake up both of your coordinators in less than a week. You're missing 4 starters on defense, and now your playoff hopes have all but disappeared. Yet another key late season fade for Gruden in go-around number 2 with the Raiders.
Yeah, and I can't put my finger on it. It's just a situation. Unfortunate Carr gets hurt. They were driving. They had some momentum. They were back and forward, playing pretty good football at that point in time. It's just it didn't work out. And so now you're looking, why can't they fix the secondary? How come the defense is playing the way that it was playing? I know one thing in terms of the rush defense, Rob Marinelli fixed that. The pass defense, they did not fix. They need to get together and figure out how to get that done. And maybe just some of the coaching decisions, in-game decisions, is costing them to the point where they're kind of melting down. Last year, they lose 5 of the last 6 games, and now this year, they've lost 4 of the last 5. They're headed in that direction. They should have lost to the New York Jets, and they would be 5 for 5. But it didn't happen that way. So when you start to look at it, you have to wonder what is going on with Coach Gruden. And I go back to his